Hello everyone, my name is Carolyn. I'm a Joico guest artist, and I'm here to show you guys all the tricks and tips I've learned over the years how to color a lace front wig. So I'm literally going to start by showing you how to block your wig. So as you can see here, this is a lace front wig, and this is a lace, and it comes about, I don't know, 1.5 inches down. So I'm just going to leave the lace on. So there's a few different types of lace wigs you can get. This is a lace frontal wig. You can also do a full lace wig. So the difference is the frontal only has basically the front is lace and one parting option. If you have a full lace wig, that means you can part anywhere on the top of the head. You can do a top knot, a half ponytails. You can do a lot more, but they are more expensive. So these ones, the lace front wigs, I usually like to use. They're a little bit more affordable. They're around $150 to $200 for these guys. And if you're looking for a full lace wig, they're probably more $600, $700, $800 in that sort of price range. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to block the wig is, so this is a head block, and I've just covered it with cling wrap because we're obviously going to do a color. We don't want to stain the block. So this stuff is a cotton twill sort of. You just get this at the like Spotlight or any sort of craft shop, and it's just cotton. So I've wet this down, and that just helps us to get more movement. And when it's wet, it just sort of glides over and stretches a little bit easier. So what I've done now is just did sort of a Mickey Mouse ear situation with these bigger pins. And you can see inside, like, I don't know if you could get in there, but inside is all wefts that are all through there. So that's where we're going to stick the pins in. We're not going to stick the pins in the lace because you will disturb the lace and you can rip it actually. So we're just going to put these two there. And then this is just a little magnet holder I have. And so I just want to show you the difference. So this is a T-pin, and some people like to use them for wigs. But the thing is, they're too thick. So the hexagon hole that's in the lace, this is too big to fit through that. So we're not going to use the T-pins. We're just going to go into your normal sewing pin, which is a lot smaller. So that won't rip the lace. Cool? Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're just putting this down right over top of the lace, and this has to cover the lace. So it's not going to be up here or down there. You're literally trying to cover that middle bit. So we're just going to put a pin there on the top and right inside, and then one at the bottom, right inside.
Carolyn, we've just got a question from Josh Congrave.
Hey.
What's the biggest problem you find people make when colouring wigs?
We'll get into that a little bit later, but when they're very sloppy and they just put color everywhere, it just creates a big disaster. And I'll show you the difference between one that I was really lazy coloring and one that I really took the time to color properly because it was a bit more expensive wig. But yeah, I'll definitely get into that when we start doing the color, and you can see the difference of being lazy and not being lazy. But yeah, it's generally just the coloring on the wig and the lace itself. Okay, so I'm just going to go down. We're just going to keep pinning this in, following the lace. And the other reason I like to use the block is because it's actually the size of someone's head. When you look at mannequin or your dolly heads, for example, these things, they're so small. And so when you put a wig on, you get all this gapping and stuff because the head is too small. So the block is a bit more realistic of how people's heads shapes actually are. So that's just a nice thing to use. This block, I actually just got this on Facebook Marketplace from a lady. She was maybe a millenary woman. I don't know what she did. But anyways, she was selling this, and I got it for like $50, I think. But they have different sizes. This is a 21. But this one suits me pretty well. Okay, so I'm just going over I don't know, another inch or so. And I'm just going to keep following the lace all the way down. And just keep securing it on there. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, and when we get to these spots, which are a bit trickier. Okay, so what we're gonna do is see how that comes up in a triangle. The lace is there. So we're just gonna keep coming down to that corner. Keep pinning that. And then we just create a little triangle with your pins. So 1, 2, 3, like a triangle. And then you fold this up and into that ear sort of section. And then you can just cut that. I didn't bring any scissors. Okay, so then you just continue on the other side. I'll just do it a bit quicker so we can get going here. Okay, and then obviously later on you're gonna cut the lace and fit it to your model or your client or whoever. Do you guys have any more questions so far? Everyone following? All right. All good? Okay. So I brought a few more types of wigs to show you guys. Bit more affordable options. Like men's toupees and toppers and things. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a triangle. La la la. Then we just, so that's 1, 2, 3. So the point is going down, and then we're just folding this up over the last little bit of that lace. Because obviously when you're coloring the hair, you need this wig to be on the block properly, like a client's hair. You don't want their head moving around, so this needs to be very secure. I'm just going to cut the rest of that. Cool. That side. This side. Okay. So also in the back, I'm just securing the wig in the back. So these ones, I use my longer pins. They just look like that. So a little bit longer than the other ones. And in the bottom of the wig, you can already see there's one in there. So you're just gonna go in the very bottom of the wig and push the pin straight up into the wig block. Cool? So this wig is pretty secure. If you want, you can put a few more pins in there, but I'm happy with that. All right. So I'm gonna put those pins away for now. Okay, cool. So the colors I decided to work with are green, green, and blue. I'm gonna do a bit of a color melt. This is a really nice brush I'd like to use as a detangling brush. So it's really soft. The bristles, they won't get caught in the lace as well. Because if you use something like that, you're gonna get caught in the lace and rip the lace. So never use a fine tooth comb on your wigs. Always use a wide tooth comb or something like this, which is a detangling brush. Okay, so I have prepped her hair. I washed her with the new purple shampoo, the color balancing purple shampoo, because she was quite yellow to start out with. And also you want to give your wig a good wash because they have some coatings and waxes and things on them that you don't really know and they don't take the color properly. So, okay. When you're coloring a wig, you want to start at the bottom, work your way up. You don't want to do like a tint regrowth and, do it that way because you'll get a lot of staining happening. So I'm just sort of parting here. Okay. Oops. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep this comb away from the lace. Okay. So some people like to pluck the hairline as well because you can see it's quite a severe line. So if you get tweezers and you pluck the hairline out, there's endless videos of that on YouTube if you need to make the hairline look a bit more natural. Okay, I'm gonna put my glovies on. And then we have a lot more things to unpack over here. a lot of other things to share and tips and tricks and products that I like to use. So my closet. All right, so if you're planning on using your wig a few times, maybe start with colors that are easy to remove. So like pastels, pinks, purples, those ones are really easy to remove. Colors like reds and blues a bit more difficult. So I like to use my wigs like 3 or 4 times for different colors, and I use the Joico eraser to remove the color before I proceed the next color. So this little doll will have like, oh my god, probably 4 or 5 different colors, and should be on shoots and should be all over the place. So I'm going to start with a light green going into a medium green and then into dark blue. And because it's blue on the ends, if I can't remove that, if something's happening, I can always just trim the ends off and should be fine. But Joico eraser can pretty much do the trick for all Joico products, which is great, all the intensities. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm just going to take a small section and just clip that up. Okay, this is all right because we're not around the lace yet. So you don't have to really worry about that too much for now. It's more when we get around the hairline and the parting where you have to be careful with your coloring. Okay, so this is the limelight green. It's a really vibrant, beautiful green. So we're going to start with that. So this hair is damp. She has not been dried. I wash it with purple shampoo and then I put some of the K-Pack spray on there to equalize porosity. Okay, so I'm just going to go in. So it's not like when you're doing coloring a tint regrowth or a gray, you're really slapping it on the roots. We're just kind of feathering it up into the root because this is all underneath, so you can't really see this anyway. So I'm going to go with that, just really get that color worked into there. And yeah, I'm not totally really saturating the root, just kind of feathering it up into there. I'm going to grab my next green. So this is peacock green. We're just kind of feathering. A little bit more.
Just got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the best place to buy your wigs?
Yes.
Where do you get?
I get my wigs. So first of all, I always do a scour through Facebook Marketplace because some people are selling wigs on there at great prices. They're just like sick of them or they don't need them anymore or whatever that is. So that's my first go-to would be Facebook Marketplace. And then there's another lady in Australia. It's called Heavenly Wigs, Heavenly Lace Wigs. So on Instagram, it's heavenly_lace_wigs. And she's a bit on the pricier side, but her wigs are beautiful. Just really well made and hand tied. So I really like her wigs, but the amount of wigs I go through, I need them a bit more affordable. So I have found there is a lady that sells them on Facebook Marketplace. So you guys can send me a message. I can't think of her because she doesn't really have a website. So she just kind of puts random wigs up there for sale. And then when I asked her, she's like, oh, you can have any size. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't know if she's actual shop or what her deal was. But anyway, if you send me a message, I can send you her details. Okay, cool. So we've just kind of melted all those colors into one another. So like this. Wee. Okay, so you got your towel. You're going to wipe your hands off to get ready for the next section. So yeah, you don't want to grab hair with dirty hands. You'll stain the other hair. Okay, so we're just going to go up to the next.
Just got another question here. Another one from Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Josh is going to be doing a live for us probably in July as well. So
damn.
welcome on board there, Josh. Great to have you and the Fame team guys on there doing some live stuff with us. What's your favorite type of base covering to put over a head block before putting the wig on to color?
So what do you mean? Like the saran wrap? This is a cling wrap that we just put on here. But if I'm doing it on a dolly head, which you can see on my dolly heads, I don't bother putting anything on them. But something like this, yeah, this is just your standard cling wrap from the shop. I just did a few layers, but when we rinse this, I'm going to take her right off of that because this is almost like a cotton fabric under there. So we're just going to rinse her as she is. But yeah, that's just like, you know, your balayage sort of cling wrap, anything like that will work great. But I did a few layers of that just because we could poke holes in there by accident. So yeah, she's wrapped up real good.
She's wrapped up tight.
Oh yeah.
Josh has said thanks. Very excited. We are too, Josh.
All right. Have you shot for HFA yet, Josh? Everyone's scrambling to get their collections ready.
Josh has just asked another. Could you talk about removing colour from your rigs with the eraser?
Yes. So with the eraser, it is the easiest thing you could ever do. You can. It depends what color you're trying to erase, but So I usually just mix it with 5-vol, and it actually comes out right away. Like I post a lot of videos on Instagram of me removing those colors, and they come out amazingly. Like I've never had an issue. If it's a really stubborn color, you can bump it up to 20-vol, but honestly, I've never had to do that. The eraser works really, really well with 5 and 10 volume. If it's just a gentle color, you can even just use warm water with your eraser, and you'll be sweet. But yeah, that's why it's best to use the Joico intensities because they are easily removed. There's some other brands that get really, really difficult to remove. Okay, so I'm just gonna work up more into the lace so you can see what I'm getting at. So we're never going to just slap the color on there like you would doing a client in the salon, because what happens is the knots will get stained. The lace actually itself doesn't really get that stained. It's more the knots that get stained, and it's like a little dot basically of color, and it just looks like a wig. So I'm going to show you, while we're talking about that, 2 examples of when I took the time to not color it and did it properly. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this. So you see where I left some of the blonde at the root, and I didn't paint right to the scalp. So when that's blow dried, it literally looks like a scalp. Looks very natural. And I think there's a photo Abby's going to put up of this model with this wig on. And the hairline is beautiful. It's very yummy. And then this one, I was real lazy doing, and I just slapped the color on. So you can see the difference. So all these knots have been colored and stained. So she looks like a wig. I mean, we can always fix that up in Photoshop afterwards, but photographers appreciate if there is a natural hairline and a natural parting in the hair. If you can see that properly. Cool. All right, so lazy, take the time and do a clean application. It's a massive difference. Okay, so I'll actually just do one section at the top. So there's a few different ways you can blend in the color to the root. You can use a comb, you can use a makeup brush. There's a few different options, but I'm just gonna speed through here to show you how we're gonna put the color on at the parting. Okay, so sometimes it's nice if you have a second person there to sort of hold the sections up so you don't get a lot of staining and color everywhere, but it's just good old me today.
Josh said, man, major light bulb moment. So I think you like that tip there, Carolyn.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's just say we're going to do this. The lighter colors are a little bit easier, but if you're doing like a really deep red or a deep blue, you have to really, really, really be careful. And there's nothing like you can really put on there. Like I wouldn't suggest doing like Vaseline or, you know, like color barrier cream. Just don't bother. Just take the time and do it properly. These are non-progressive colors, so they're not going to get any darker. So just take your time, put the color on, blend it in, and then just let it sit. Okay, so I'll just give you an example. So I'm just going to go in and really probably do about that much. So another thing is you can kind of like use your comb and just sort of push it down in a little bit farther. But it's better to leave enough, like you don't want to have, you can go back in and color it a little bit farther if you need to, but honestly, when you're moving around and stuff, that color can get pushed farther and farther and eventually can color the knot. So just leave a good amount of space, safe space. And then I'm just going to flip this. Come over here, Dunk, on this side. And we're just going to do the other side. Is that lighting okay, guys? It's a bit bright. Okay, and we're just going to do the same thing on this side. And you can grab your comb and just do that as well. So I generally will leave this top section out to the very, very last. Just do a horseshoe section and just keep it braided off to the side. Color the rest of your wig and then go in afterwards and just really, really take the time to perfect that. And as well as around the hairline, maybe just leave all that out. You know, so say color your whole wig and then come back and you're just going to like feather that color in really, really lightly. So like literally just like that.
So you come and do that hairline last and the top last.
Yes. Yeah, it's not like in the salon where you just start, you know, you do your 4 quadrants and you just slap it on the roots right away. It's just quite the opposite, actually. So you start in the bottom, you work your way up to the top in the hairline. So yeah, you can either use a makeup brush as well to just gently brush that into there. But that's how that is done. And it's not even the worst just leaving some baby hairs out. Like we just want this to look as natural as possible. And that's the best way to do it.
Just got another Facebook question.
Yeah.
Do you ever do the hot water and dye bath method for a solid color, or do you prefer painting on the dye?
Okay, so the watercolor method is cool, but you can't get as creative with that. It's kind of just a one color and that's it. The other thing with that is you have to turn the wig inside out. So when you're doing the watercoloring, you have to turn your wig inside out and you have to coat this with gel. Like coat it over and over and over and over with gel and let that dry for a day. And then you can dip it in the water. Otherwise, so when the gel is hardened in there, that basically stops the knots from staining. So it's just a long process and it's not really fun. Like I just like things to be really fun and creative, and like I'll change my mind 20 times when I'm coloring a wig. And yeah, the dip dye is cool, but it also doesn't last very long because it's kind of like textile dyes, you know, they're just, some of them are really good, some of them are pretty crap. But yeah, it's just less creative, less fun, and you're just stuck with one color. I mean, you can kind of dip half and half if you want. I would use maybe more for pastel if you're like, oh, I'm too lazy to just put like a pastel pink over the whole head. I'll just dip it or whatever. That's cool. But I just like the creative process of coloring with these colors. So, but yeah, you definitely can. It just takes like 2 days to do. Cool. All right. Okay, I'm gonna bring you over to my little tickle trunk here. Okay, so these are a few different hair pieces. So this one is a toupee. So it's a men's toupee. You can see the old tape I had on there. So this is just double-sided tape from a shoot. The thing is with toupees, they're made for men, so they're quite large. So and most of your models won't have a head that's that big. So what I actually did when I put it on the model, I had to clip the back of it. Like you can see, there's like all this excess room in the back. It's kind of hard to see now, but you can imagine like I can pinch that whole thing and then it will be tight. So these are great, but it only looks good on one angle. So just keep that in mind if you're doing a shoot with a toupee, that you'll probably have to scrunch it in one spot and therefore it can only be shot from one angle. But these are great. They're a little bit more affordable. I think I paid $200 for 2 of them. And they're great. I've colored them a few times. I've used them. I mean, you've probably seen this toupee like so many times in all my photos. Because I use it in different ways. So one time I stuffed it all with padding and it became this crazy up style. there's a lot of different things you can do with these wigs. So because they're expensive, I just like to get as creative as possible and get the most longevity out of each piece. So that's the other toupee there. So they did come quite long, actually. And this one, I didn't have to be so careful. I mean, you can still see I left a little bit of the blonde at the root there, so it looks a bit more natural. And this one is called a closure. So basically, that's the top piece. So say a model, you didn't want to buy a full wig, and you could color the model's hair, and you just wanted to have a bit of a, I don't know, just something a bit more creative in the front. I would get something like that, and then you basically just put it right. So it's the same idea. It has the lace on there, and then you just cut the lace right around the hairline. So yeah, this is real hair. I mean, they're not cheap, but when you use the Joico colors, you can use them over and over and over. And I'll just keep this quite long. But yeah, like I can even use that as a mustache, or like this can be used in a lot of different ways. So it's just nice to have these in your kit. And you can color them and reuse them as many times as you want. So this is a really good technique if you were, you know how wigs can look a bit boofy and wiggy? This is a really good, it's just a scarf basically. So what you're doing, like say overnight, you would just put that around. You can either hold it down and use your blow dryer and diffuser and just put some heat into there and just make it a little bit flatter. Or you can literally just tie that and just leave it overnight to make that a little bit flatter, because there's nothing worse than putting a wig on. It's like standing straight up off the model's head. It just looks super wiggy. And then to put the hair, if you're going to wear a wig, you need to obviously put your hair, you don't have to. If you have really short hair, you don't necessarily need a wig cap. But this is what I put on. I think she has one on, or she did have one on. So this is just a wig cap. It's just like a nylon wig cap, very basic. And that just goes over the hair, under your wig, and you just pull it back, and then this is where you're going to apply your glue to then put your wig on. And a nice product I like to use to get all the flyaways in there is this Hanzifuku. It's called Heavy Made. So basically, you just get a nice soft bristle toothbrush, and you're just going to go in like this, and you're literally just going to use that and just flatten down all those baby hairs.
Just got a question as well. So how do you go about trimming lace for different models when you're using?
I generally just trim the lace kind of where it is ending. Like you don't want to cut into any of the hairs. Where is this? The front of this. You see this one. So yeah, I mean, the beauty of this is you can move a wig back and forward depending on where her hairline is. So if I was going to custom make one for a client, then I would measure her out and cut it properly. But half the time I make the wigs and I don't even know, I haven't seen the model yet. So when you put the wig on, you can just adjust it while it's on her. But yeah, I cut this one. You can see just basically where the hair stops. Like this one, I will cut her just around there. You don't want to go into this at all. But yeah, literally just around there. And then once it's cut, it's cut. So that's always, I always get so nervous when I'm cutting the lace. I'm like, oh, I'm going to screw it up. But you can't really, like, unless you go super deep, like, don't stress out about cutting the lace too much. It's more just trying to get the lace to fit. Like, this won't fit everyone. Like, it's just not possible. So, but the best you can do is just not even glue. You can use these wig, these are our little tabs. So basically it's a double-sided sticker. So what you do is you put these on here like this, and then you peel those off, and then you just stick the wig on. So if you want to do something that's just for a shoot that you need to take off right away, I just use the double-sided tape or the tabs. If you need this to stay on for a day, a week, whatever, you would use something more like a glue or a adhesive. There's a really good one. Got2b is the brand, but they make really good wig glue.
Just got a question as well from Josh. Where do you get your wig caps from?
Usually, so Paddy's Markets in Sydney has a lot of weird little wig shop stands, and they have a lot of really good wig caps. Otherwise, just go on eBay, honestly, and just buy a whole lot of them. But when you buy a wig, there will always come with a wig cap. This one has 2 pieces, but it's really good to have some black ones and some lighter color ones, especially if you're using a darker colored wig. But yeah, I have so many of these things, but they are hard to find sometimes. If I do find them, I grab as many as possible. But if not, yeah, just eBay is really good for those. And I think Amazon is really good too. They also, if you want to make your own wig, this one's horrendous. I made it a long time ago, but you can buy, so there's a wig cap and there's like a wig sort of, God, what would you even call this? Because it is a cap, but it's not, I don't even know what the name of this is. But if you just search wig cap, you'll find it as well. So that's just like a mesh insert, and you just basically build your wig on top of that. So these are just old tape extensions that I actually had in my head. And I just hot glued them on. Like, I mean, it's pretty half-assed, to be honest. But if you're in a bind and you have some extra extensions hanging around the shop, or you've had them in your hair or whatever, you can build your own wig. And then I basically just put a fringe piece on top of that. So I just made my own wig for a shoot. Like, you can't really comb it that hard because these will probably come off, but it's always another option to buy your own wig cap. And then these are adjustable, so you can adjust those right around your noggin.
Just got another question.
Yeah.
Josh again. What's your favorite way to wig wrap or hide hair to get it flattest to the head?
Yeah, good question. So I did do a class on this, and she recommended to have the hair wet, and you almost do 4 quadrants, and then you use those clips, the clicky clips, the 90s clips. What are they called?
I know the ones you're meaning.
Yeah, you know what I mean, those clicky. So basically, she would wet the hair all down and just do a clip there, clip there, clip there, clip there. And she did 4 sections of those, and it actually made the hair quite flat. I mean, this is the part that you need to worry about, is the very top of the head. That needs to be as flat as possible. Or you can do a proper wig wrap where you get the mousse and you wrap the hair all around itself. But that just takes a very long time, and it's good if you have someone to help you. But for me, honestly, I like a lot of volume in my wigs, so I actually just French braid, just do 2 French braids, and then almost just like crisscross them in the back and pin them up kind of around the head like that. I mean,
Do you mind just showing me that again there? Sorry.
Yes. So it's like, imagine these were 2 French braids. So just 2 French braids, and at the bottom, you just cross them and you wrap them up around the head, and you just pin them in the head as well. So pin, 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 just with big bobby pins. And you can do that. It always, I mean, it depends how much hair the person has. I had this Asian girl, she's beautiful, but her hair was like down to here, super thick, and I had a little bob wig that I had to put on her. And I was like, what? So luckily, because it had so much volume, I actually just put her hair in a low bun. And because her head was actually small, the bun helped the wig stay on quite securely because it filled out the back, if that makes sense. But yeah, the best way would be to spray the hair damp and do your 4 sections and really flat, not really pin curl, but you know what I mean, flat buns.
Circular buns, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best.
Another question, what double-sided tape do you use?
I have it here somewhere, yes. So there's this one, it's called Lace Front. So if you're in Sydney, there's a shop called Soho on Pelican Street in Darlinghurst. Just off Oxford Street. You know where the Hungry Jack's is on Oxford Street, where everyone got drunk? Anyway, just behind that, there's this place, and they have beautiful wigs and all these accessories. So they sell both the tabs and the tape. And this stuff is like quite strong. So when you're finished for the day, you want to take this tape off, because this can be very sore on little baby hairs if you're trying to pull that off. So the best way is to use a tape extension removal spray. So that just has an acetone in it and just sort of dissolves and softens out the tape, and you can just pull it right off. But generally you have that wig cap on, and you just pull the wig cap off and everything comes off at the same time, which is great. And this little guy, this is called a hair topper. So I've colored this one as well. As you can see, I've left it blonde right at the root as well, so it just looks a bit more natural. You can see that? But yeah, so this is called a topper. So it's a little bit expensive as well because that's real hair, but it is nice because if you don't want to use a full wig, or because that will cover most of the hair. So even if she had a cute little bob or something, you can get away with that looking like almost the full hairstyle. If I need to fill it out, I'll just color a few pieces of extensions or wefts and just put those underneath to fill the bottom out. But that's a really good way to do a full look without just using the topper.
Just got another question,
Yep.
Facebook question. What's the best way to store your wigs?
So I have just shelves upon shelves of mannequin heads, and they're just sitting there. So I actually just keep them out in the open. If you have wig stands, those are good because they're breathable, so your wigs can get some fresh air. If not, just a really nice, like a silk, even a silk pillowcase would be nice. Just turn it inside out so the silk's on the inside. Put your wig inside there. Just anywhere that it's not going to get roughed up like that. And the same with when you're washing your wigs. So like for this one, I will put that one on a mannequin head and just wash it in the sink as it is. And you're not going to do any of these. Like you have to really be careful with the lace. So you're just going to do like gently massaging the color off. And then when you're using your conditioner, you don't put the conditioner at the root because the knots can come off and they can slide away. So the best shampoo that I like to use is the Defy Damage. So we do the Defy Damage shampoo, and then I like to use the mask afterwards. Just because this hair we don't know what it's been through, honestly. And wigs don't have any natural oils or vitamins, so there's no skin to nourish the hair. So you really have to use the best products and the mask, and just leave it on for a few minutes. And then don't blow dry it. I know you're tempted to blow dry it, you want to see the color, and I have done it before, but it just causes a lot of stress on the wigs, and you can pull a lot of the hair out. So just let your wigs air dry. Joico has a really good product called No Heat, and it just helps smooth the hair down. You just run it through. I would use the No Heat with the Defy Damage Pro Protect and Shield. So those two together, they're beautiful cream, they're very light consistency. Just put that through the hair and just let it air dry. And then in the morning, you can just give it a little fluff or whatever, but don't blow dry it right from wet. You'll just damage it because the lace is very, very delicate, especially if you have a full lace. But yeah, I'll let it dry. You can just see, I'll just show you what the inside of this looks like now. So this is just a lace front. So you see where all the wefts are. So this wig is a little bit cheaper for that reason. It's only lace. It's like a T sort of section. The lace is up there, but this is all wefts. So you can stick your pins in there, but you don't put your pins in anywhere around that top little bit.
Another question here from Facebook. Does the tape ruin the knots in your wigs at all?
Just the tape? The tape?
Yep. Does the tape ruin the knots in the wig at all? Or maybe it's the...
No, it doesn't actually, because if you use a remover spray, it just dissolves the glue on the tape. So yeah, if you're pulling it, it can possibly do that, but I would just use the remover spray. It's really good for that. Yeah, and it's better for the client as well because they always have a few baby hairs stuck in there. But yeah, no, I haven't had any experience with that. Just the remover spray really helps you take the tape off really, really easily because it's very strong tape. It's like medical grade tape. That stuff. It's insane. What else? What else? Is there anything else I've missed? Should I just continue? Oh, you can see this. What this looks like. Okay, cool. So, do you guys have any more questions? Have I answered everything? I've been blabbing for a long time.
I think there's been lots of information there for people,
Yeah,
which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, but this will stay on the Facebook page forever, so you guys can go back and have a look and all that fun stuff. So, anyways, thank you for sharing your time with me. And I'm being pointed. So my friend Isabel is also doing a class on June 1st, I believe, for styling or the Manhattan Pony, and she's awesome. I actually saw her today. She's my favorite. So tune in for that, and thank you guys for sharing your afternoon with me. I appreciate it, and I will see you soon. Bye.